Now Juliet says, I would not for the world they saw thee here. So she says, I'll give anything to keep my kinsmen from seeing you and doing injury to you. Romeo says, I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes. And but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued wanting of thy love. So he says, this darkness of the night, nightness, or this night has lent me its cloak, it is hiding me in darkness, and it will hide me from your kinsmen. And if you don't love me, let them find me here. I rather they kill me than having to live without your love. So here he declares his love for Juliet and that he cannot live without her. Now Juliet says, by whose direction foundst thou out this place? By love, who first did prompt me to enquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise. So now you find Juliet wants to know how he ended up here. So now Romeo says, it is by love. Love showed me the way, the same thing that made me look for you in the first place. So he lent me counsel who love. So again, you have personification where love basically becomes a sort of a friend, a sort of a guide who basically told me where I should come, where I should go. So he lent me counsel and I lent him eyes. So I allowed him to guide me. So my love for you guided me to this place, made me look for you in the first place. So love told me what to do, and I let love borrow my eyes. And then he says, uh, I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise. So he says, I'm not a sailor, but if you were across the farthest sea, even if I was not a sailor, I would risk everything to gain such a treasure. So he calls her a merchandise. He says, you are something very precious. And to have you, to gain your love, to gain your trust, I would risk everything. So now Juliet says, let's move on to the next slide. So here Juliet says, thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek. For that which thou hast heard me speak tonight, fain would I dwell on form. Fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. So she says, thou knowest the mask of night is on my face. I know that you cannot see my face because it is dark outside. Else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek. Otherwise, you would have seen me blushing because you have heard me, confess. You've heard me express my sincerest wishes. And these were not meant to be spoken. I did not want anybody to hear. This was said in private. It was something that was close to my heart. It was a secret. But now you have heard me. And because you've heard me, you now know what I am going through. So she says, Fain, fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. So she says, I would be happy to keep up my good manners and I can always deny. I can deny the things I said, but farewell compliment. She says, I'm going to forget about all my good manners and I want to know something. So here you find she's anxious. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say, A, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayest prove false. At lovers' perjuries, they say, love, love. So here she says, Job loves. Now, Job again, uh, if you look at Greek mythology, you find Job is a god. And here she says, do you love me? I want to know if you love me. So let's forget about good manners. Let's forget of the fact that you heard me speak in private. I just want to know if you love me. I know you will say yes, and I will believe you. But if you start swearing, if you start vouching that you love me, then you might turn out to be lying. Because they say that Job loves when lovers lie to each other. And here you find he's a god who believes in cheating. Job is a god who loves or believes in cheating. He is a liar and completely insincere. So he says, Job loves when lovers lie to each other. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. So she says, if you love me, I want you to declare your love for me. If you really love me, say it truly. Or if thou thinkst I am too quickly won, or if you think it was very easy for you to win my love, I will frown and be perverse and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. So she says, if you think I was an easy target, if you think that I fell for your charms a little too soon, a little too quick, then I will frown and I will play hard to get. As long as it will make you try to win me, but otherwise, I will not act that way for anything. I will be true to myself. I will be sincere. So she does not want to fool him. You find she does not want to be like other women who pretend to be all coy and pretend to be very innocent. Here you find Juliet is exactly who she says she is. She says, I rather not pretend, but if you, like any other lover, if you want to chase me, then I will give you that opportunity. I will try to be like all the other women. I will try to feign. I will pretend. I will try to play hard to get. As long as I know that you will come, you will chase me, you will try to win me over. Otherwise, I will not act that way for anything. And then she says, in truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behavior light. So she says, in truth, handsome Montague, I like you very much. So you may think that my behavior is loose. You may think I am a woman of loose morals because I declared my love so easily and openly, unlike all the other girls. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more coin to be strained. So now here, uh, she says that she says, I will I will be better. I will be better, and I will prove to be more trustworthy than all the other women put together. So she says, you are lovely. You are a very handsome person. In truth, handsome Montaigne. I like you too much. But you may think my behavior is loose. But she says, trust me. I will prove myself more faithful than these girls who act very coy and these girls who try to play so hard to get. She says, than those who have more coin to be strange. Meaning, I can pretend to be like these girls. I can be a little standoffish. I should have been more strange. Strange Here, what she's trying to say is, I could have been more standoffish. I could have pretended to be shy. I could have pretended to be outraged. I must confess, but that thou overheardst ere I was aware my true love's passion. Therefore, pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love which the dark night hath so discovered. So she says, uh, I should have been more standoffish. I should have been like all the other ladies of my age. But she says, I confess, but you overheard me talking about the love I have in my heart for you. So, when I didn't know, because I did not that you were here listening to me, so you have to excuse me, you have to pardon me. But you should not assume that you made me love you easily and that my love is not sincere. Just because I love you and that love came so easily, do not take it to be an insincere, easy, unstable sort of a love. Because she says, I love you seriously. So this is not light love which you have encountered, you've discovered in the night. So you find both Romeo and Juliet, they basically declare their love for each other. You find Romeo is extremely happy that Juliet loves him back. So now Romeo says, Lady, by yonder blessed moon I vow that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops. So now, because Juliet wants him to swear his love for her, just as she has declared her love for him. Romeo is all ready. Romeo is ready to swear. And then he begins to swear by the moon. Lady, by yonder blessed moon. So he says, I swear by the sacred moon above, that moon that paints the top of fruit trees with silver. So at night, you find the moon basically bathes the night. I believe the night scene, that is the top of the fruit trees with a silver light. So he swears by the sacred moon, and immediately Juliet says, Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon that monthly changes in a circle orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable. Now, Juliet is worried because she says, Don't, please, don't swear by the moon. Why? The moon is always changing. Every month, its position in the sky shifts. And because it is not, it is inconstant, it is forever changing, it does not remain true, it does not remain permanent, it is not fixed. Therefore, I do not want you to swear your love, which I want to be constant, by moon, because the moon is forever changing. I don't want you to turn out to be that inconsistent. I do not want you to turn out to be like the moon. I do not want your love towards me to be that inconsistent too. So then now Romeo does not know what to do. So Romeo says, What shall I swear by? Juliet says, Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the God of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee. So Juliet says, don't swear at all. Now, if you have to swear, if you want to promise, make sure you swear by your wonderful self. I do not want you to swear by, don't give me God promise or your moon promise, but swear by your wonderful self, which is the God I worship. And now she says that she worships him. For Juliet, Romeo is like a God. And then she says, I worship you, I adore you. And then if you swear by your love, then I will believe you. So swear by your wonderful self, and I will believe you. That is enough. I do not want you to swear by the God, by the moon god, or any other thing that keeps changing, and I'll believe thee. So Romeo says, If my heart's dear love. So now Juliet says, well, do not swear, although I joy in thee. So now you find Juliet, uh, well, do not swear, although I joy in thee. I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be. So here you find Juliet does not want him to swear, so she's changed her mind again. So now Juliet says, do not swear, although you bring me joy. I can't take joy in this exchange of promises tonight. I have no joy of this contract tonight. So if we are exchanging our promises, I cannot take joy. It is it is too rash, it is too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be. So she's afraid. She's afraid that this is happening too soon, too quick. So she says, it is too sudden, it is too crazy. Not we have not paused, we have not thought about it sincerely, we are not being wise enough, we haven't done enough thinking, it is too sudden. And she says, she compares their quick love to lightning which flashes and then disappears before you can say it is lightning, right? So just like lightning is momentary, she feels that their love is too sudden, too quick, and then she's also afraid that it might disappear like lightning. Or one says it lights, sweet good night, this bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast. O wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? What satisfaction canst thou have tonight? The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine. I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I would it were to give again. So now again, they declaring their love. So he says, "My sweet good night, our love." So Juliet says, "My sweet good night, our love, which right now is like a flower bud. It's only in that budding stage, flower bud in the summer air, may turn out to be a beautiful flower by the next time we meet." So she does not want any promises, any contracts, any agreements to be made on that night because it's just that night they met. So she says, let us leave, let us say good night and let us part because our love is not mature. It's only a bud. This bud of love, sorry, by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. So she says, our love, which right now is like a flower bud in the summer air, it may turn out to be a beautiful flower by the next time we meet. Good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast. So he says, Juliet says, I hope you enjoy the same sweet peace and rest I feel in my heart. So she's very happy. So she says, I'm very happy. I hope you will have the same calmness that I have. But Romeo is not satisfied. He says, oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? Are you going to leave me in this state? So then Juliet says, what satisfaction canst thou have tonight? So she wants to know what satisfaction he wants to have right now. The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine. I gave thee mine. So Juliet says, I gave thee mine before thou did request it, and yet I would it were to give again. So now Romeo wants some kind of a promise, something that he can hold on to. So Romeo says, I would be satisfied if we made each other true promises of love. Now Juliet says, I've already pledged my love to you even before you asked me to. And yet, I wish I could, take that promise back. I wish I could take my promise back, my promise of love back, so that I can give it to you again. So now Romeo is not very sure. Romeo's worried. Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love? So now Romeo is wondering. He wants to know why Juliet wants to take back her love, why she wants to take back her promise, the promise that she's made. Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love? Romeo says, would you take it back? Why would you do that, my love? Why would you want to take back your love? So Juliet says, but to be frank and give it thee again. And yet I wish, but for the thing I have, my bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. So Juliet says, but to be frank, only to be generous, I'm taking back my promise of love, not because I don't love you, but I want to be generous and I want to give you that same promise, that same love. I want to give it to you once more, but I'm wishing for something I already have. And she says, my generosity towards you, my love for you is limitless. It is as deep as the ocean or the sea. And my love is deep. And I feel the more I give you, the more love I give you, it seems I have even more love within me to give you. And she says, both loves are infinite. The more I have, I give to thee. So I have love and I have enough love to give you. And they are both infinite. Now, off stage, you can hear the nurse, that is her, chambermaid, or the woman who is, supposed to be her maid, calling out to her. I hear some noise within, dear love, adieu. Annan, good nurse, Annan, I'm coming, she tells the nurse. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little, I will come again. And then she leaves. She goes inside because her maid, her chambermaid has called her. So she leaves. She goes inside. And then she, of course, tells Romeo to stay behind, to stay a little bit, and that she will come again. So now Romeo is happy. He says, oh, blessed night, I am afeard. Being a knight, all this is but a dream, too flattering, sweet to be substantial. So you find Romeo wonders. After Juliet has left, Juliet has to go meet her nurse. So Romeo is all, when Juliet leaves, she exits. Romeo wonders. He says, oh, blessed night, it is dark out. And because it's night, I don't know whether whatever is happening, whatever just happened is true or whether it's just a dream. It is too sweet to be real. Now you find Juliet enters. Juliet says, three words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee. So Juliet says, three words, dear Romeo, and then it's good night for real. If your intentions, if thy bent of love be honorable, meaning if your intention as a lover are truly honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow. If you are willing, if you are ready to marry me, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, and I will send a messenger to you, and you can pass on a message. Where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I lay, and follow thee, my Lord, throughout the world. Now, telling me, I'll send a messenger telling me where and when we will be married, and then I will lay all my fortunes at your feet and follow you, my Lord, all over the world. So you find Uh, Juliet is ready. Juliet is ready to leave everything for her love, that is Romeo, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world. So again, you find the nurse calling from within, and then Juliet responds. She says, I will come. But if thou meanst not well, I do beseech thee. And she wants to know whether he's sincere. And Juliet says, if you are not sincere, then immediately again she hears the nurse calling from within. Juliet says, by and by I come to seize thy suit and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow will I send. So now you find Juliet too needs some kind of promise. She wants to be sure. So she says, if you don't really mean, if you do not have honorable intentions towards me, I want you to stop chasing after me, trying for me. I want you to leave me to my strife, leave me to my grief. And then she says, tomorrow I'll send my messenger. And Romeo says, so thrive my soul. And then Juliet says, a thousand times good night. So you find both Romeo and Juliet, they say goodnight. And now Romeo says, a thousand times the worse to want thy light. Love goes towards love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks. And then you find Juliet re enters. Hissed, Romeo hissed, oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo's name. So you find uh, after Juliet exits, because Juliet has to go meet her nurse, uh, Romeo declares a thousand times the worse to want thy life. So he says, leaving you is thousand times worse than being near you. And then he has this beautiful, I believe, comparison. He says, a lover, love goes towards love as schoolboy from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks. So he says, a lover goes towards his beloved as enthusiastically as a schoolboy leaves his books. But when he leaves his lover, he feels miserable as a schoolboy on his way to school. So, this is a beautiful comparison here. And then Juliet re enters, and Juliet says, hissed Romeo hissed, oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine. So she says, Romeo, she calls out Romeo, oh, I wish I could make a falconer's call. A falconer is the person who controls the falcon. He only has to command, and the falcon would fly back and sit on his arm. So, just like a falconer is able to call back the falcon, I wish I could bring my little falcon back. So, now here you find Juliet is comparing herself to a falconer and Romeo to a falcon. And then she expresses a desire to call back her little falcon. That is, she wants to call back. She wishes she's able to get back or call back Romeo. She says, I am trapped. Bondage is force. I'm trapped in my family's house and may not speak aloud. So I must be quiet. She wishes she wants to be with her lover, but she's afraid because she's trapped in her house. Else I would tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine. Otherwise, had I not been trapped in my family's house, I would have ripped open the cave where echo sleeps, and I would make her repeat his name until her voice grew. So she wants to keep on calling out to Romeo, but she's afraid because she is in her family house. She has to be quiet. If only she were not trapped in her family's house, then she could have challenged Echo. She could have gone on calling out to Romeo. Now here there is a reference girl, there is a reference to Echo. Echo again from Greek mythology is actually a nymph. She's a goddess. You find the goddess Hera cursed with just an echo for a punishment because Echo was asked to distract Hera. Hera is actually the wife of Zeus, and Zeus or Jove is actually her husband, Hera's husband, and he used to go around having multiple affairs with humans and goddesses. So Echo was a sort of a diversion or a distraction. And when goddess Hera she comes to know about it, she curses. She curses this nymph, and finally, this Echo she loses because she used to talk to goddess Hera and distract her, and goddess Hera curses her, and then her voice becomes just an echo. Her voice is replaced by an echo as a punishment. And she's also famous because she was loved by the god Pan, and she actually falls in love with a young, handsome boy called Narcissus or Narcissus. Narcissus is a young boy who's very handsome, who's perfect, and you find he falls in love with himself, or rather, you can see in the picture, Narcissus he falls in love with his own reflection, and Echo waits for him, and he does not return her love, and then she just wastes away. She wastes away, and there was nothing left of her except for the echo. So that is you find that is the reference to echo. So now Romeo says, "It is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears." So he says, "My soul is calling out my name." Now the sound of lovers, how silver sweet sound lovers' tongues. So he says, the sound of lovers calling each other's names through the night is very sweet. It is the sweetest sound a lover ever hears. And then immediately Juliet calls out to him, Romeo. And Romeo says, "My nice, that is my baby, a hawk." So Juliet says, "What o'clock tomorrow? What time? Tomorrow should I send a messenger to you? By the hour of 9, I will not fail. 'Tis 20 year till then. I have forgot why I did call thee back." So Juliet says, "I won't fail at 9 o'clock. I will send a messenger to you." And she says, "From now until that moment, that is until the next day, at that time, at that fixed time, it will seem as if time has not moved. It will seem like 20 years." And then suddenly she says, "I have forgotten. I have forgotten why I have called you back." So Romeo says, "Let me stand here till thou remember it. Let me stand here until you remember your reason as to why you called out to me." So Juliet says, I shall. Uh, so Juliet says, "'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton's bird, who lets his hop a little from her hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with silk thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of his liberty." So you find Julia does not really want Romeo to leave. So then Romeo says, I will stay here. I will stay here till you remember the reason why you called out to me. And then Juliet says, I will forget it. If I can get you to stand here forever, then I will not remember the reason why I called you. Because then I can see you here waiting for me. I will only remember how much I love your company, and I'll still stay to have thee still forgetting any other hope but this. And Romeo says, I'll keep standing here, even if you keep forgetting. I will forget that I have any home beside this spot right here. So now Juliet says, it is almost morning. I would have thee gone and no further than a wanton's bird that lets it hop a little from his hand like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and the silken thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of his liberty. Now Juliet says, it's almost morning. I would have thee gone. I want to make you go. But I would only let you go no further than a wanton's bird, like a spoiled child. A wanton's bird, like a spoiled child with a pet bird. So, what does a spoiled child do with a pet bird? It will allow the pet bird to go, to move. And when the bird begins to hop a little bit, the child, because it is a spoiled child, very possessive child, the child will bring it back. It will yank it back or drag the bird back by a string. Similarly, you find Juliet wants Romeo to leave, but the moment Romeo decides to leave or is about to leave, takes a step, she draws him back. She calls him back. So she compares herself to a wanton's bird, a wanton, and Romeo is the bird. So she says that lets it hop a little from his hand like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with a silken thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of his liberty. So just like a possessive, spoiled child would allow his bird to experience freedom, but the moment the bird would move a little away from the child would draw it back. So you find Juliet is already possessive. And Romeo says, I were thy bird. So now Romeo says, I wish I was your bird. Sweet, so would I. Yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow. And Romeo, and then Juliet leaves. Romeo says, sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace, so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly father sell his help to crave, and my dear hap to tell. So now Romeo says, I wish I was your bird. And Juliet says, I wish you were my bird too. But then she says, if you were my bird, I would kill you with too much of love. I would show you so much of love and I would shower you with love and affection that I would probably end up killing you. So you find it is a very possessive sort of a love that she's talking about. Then she says, good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I will say good night until tonight becomes tomorrow. So she wants to leave, And then she says, I will say good night until tonight becomes tomorrow. She wants it to be the next day immediately. And then Juliet leaves. And Romeo says, sleep, dwell upon thine eye, peace in thy rest. I hope you will have a peaceful sort of a sleep. And then he says, I wish I were sleep and peace so that I could spend the night with you. Would I wear sleep and peace so sweet to rest? I wish I was that sleep and peace so that I could spend the night with you. Hence will I go to my ghostly friar's close cell. But now I have to go see my friend, the friar. I have to go and ask his help to crave and my dear hap to tell. I have to meet my friend, the priest. I have to meet the friar and I have to ask for his help. And I have to tell him about my dear hap. Dear hap, he's talking about his good luck. And what is the good luck? That he met his love and his love loves him back. So Act 2, Scene 2 ends with promises being made and a marriage being planned.